Are long words in books ableist? Have I completely lost the plot? Maybe. Was this first sentence so ridiculous? Yes, does the internet debate about this topic? Anyways, abso-fucking-lutely. Anyway, I got new art for my little fangirl wall. No, just joking. Let's get into the topic. Let's really get into it for a second. Recently, there was a discussion online about whether using long or complicated words in books is actually ableist. And as someone who loves writing, I obviously have to throw two pence into this conversation. The whole discussion started with a post from someone who read a book and they came across a word that they didn't know and they Googled it and then they made a post about not knowing the word and they suggested that maybe authors should simply use shorter or easier words. At first, the replies to that post were pretty reasonable, I would say. I haven't seen all the replies though. A lot of people pointed out that, well, if you don't know a word, then that's kind of what dictionaries and Google and context clues are for. And if you don't know it, you can just look it up. That's how you learn. Going to be honest, I did not know that word either. English is not my native language, and I would have Googled it as well. Honestly, I think the whole post was meant to be a joke. Unfortunately, the internet has this incredible superpower of taking jokes that I find was quite obvious and turning them into full-scale debates. Because to that post, someone else wrote a post too, obviously, and they said that it's kind of ableist to be against the take that authors should use easier words. And I have to admit that is just so ridiculous. I'm sorry, I actually need to laugh about it because I think it's kind of funny. It's just such an amazing example of how the internet works. But jokes aside, I do believe that there is some truth in it. Wait, let me explain. Let me explain, please. Thank you very much. Because there are absolutely situations where unnecessary complex language can become ableist. For example, in legal documents, in government forms, in healthcare information, insurance policies, or anything people need to understand in order to access essential service. If those documents are written in ridiculously complicated language for no good reason, or which, to be honest, most of the time it's no good reason, then that creates a real barriers for a lot of people. Depending on what kind of disability you have, it can be very hard to understand these government forms if they're written very complicated or if they just use all these big bureaucracy words, and that is genuine a issue that we have, but not in books, in my opinion. People enjoy very simple language, other people enjoy challenging words or prose. Some people read classics full of Victorian vocabulary that I wouldn't use anymore, and other prefer contemporary fiction with very direct writing, and neither one of those is better than the other. I believe a really nice bonus of reading is learning new things and learning new words. I read a lot in English, even though it isn't my native language. Every single week, I came across dozens of words that I have never seen before. And sometimes I can guess them because of the context, and sometimes I have absolutely no clue and I Google them. And you know what? That is actually just fine. Every unfamiliar word is an opportunity to learn something new and to find new ways to speak said language in which I'm reading right now. Even in my native language, which is German, I constantly learn new words because you cannot know every word in every language. That is, in my opinion, not possible. If you as a person know every goddamn word in your language, then I think that is very impressive. And I would like to meet you and just to talk with you because I think it's so fascinating. If writers were expected to remove every difficult word just because someone might not know it, we'd lose an enormous amount of richness from language. Especially because what is and what isn't a hard word is so subjective. Subjective, I think that's the right word. It's just very personal. It just depends on every person, okay? I believe language isn't just a tool for communication, but it's also art and history and culture. And different words carry different meanings and different emotion and different nuances, which is why it is also important to use different words in different contexts. Especially now in a world where AI can write entire essays in seconds and algorithms constantly simplify everything to us. I actually think it's so important that we keep learning and stay curious and learn new things and new words. It is so important to learn new ways to speak and not just always use the same generic kind of language that AI often uses, which there are a lot of researchers towards that topic about how people tend to speak more like AI because they are exposed more to this AI kind of talk. And I think that is really scary. To expand our understanding instead of shrinking everything down to the lowest possible level is so important. Now, of course, accessibility matters, and that's why we have ebooks, we have audiobooks, we have dyslexic friendly editions, we have glossaries, we have annotation, I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, we have translation, we have so many different ways in which we can make reading a little bit more accessible for people who have difficulties with reading, different books. And all these different ways we can use to make it more accessible is without asking the author to limit their vocabulary. I also believe if every writer would just use simple words, then it would be kind of boring, because you would limit the way that the author would write, and by that you would limit the writing style of the author. It would make it more generic, which is something, as I said before, because of AI and all that stuff and all that AI slop we see on the internet recently, we shouldn't want. At least I don't want that. Accessibility and artist expression can exist side by side, and those two goals do not need to contradict each other. I think this whole debate also highlights something else that keeps happening online, which is people having the need to tell their opinion on everything. And then it gets turned into this very huge discussions. And you know what? I get it. I absolutely have these moments where I see something online and I feel like this desperate need to just tell my opinion and to be against it, or just to challenge the person who posted it. I think in those moments it's so worth stopping for about 10 seconds and just ask yourself, do I really need to join this conversation now? Do I really need to? And if you don't know how to do it, here's a very quick tutorial. And be aware, I mean this with some kind of joke level, but I'm also kind of serious. So, step 1, take your hands off the keyboard. Step 2, ask yourself, am I contributing to something meaningful or just adding more noise? And are the people I'm talking about right now even ready to have a meaningful conversation? Or is it just about who is right and who isn't? Doing something really meaningful right now? Do the people actually care? No. And step 3, or 3, I would do that because I'm German. Anyway, step 3, if you don't know anything about the topic, maybe don't rush into it and expect to become an expert in the comment of some social media post. Don't make your first lesson someone else's problems. Just do something else. Close the app, go outside, drink some water, touch some grass, just do something and learn about the topic a little bit more before shouting out everything you have in mind in 1 second. Because even after like 5 hours, or I don't know, 5 years or whatever, the internet will still be there. And I can assure you, they will keep having the same discussions over and 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 over again. Take it as an opportunity to learn about the things more before sharing everything you think. And I know it's hard, but I promise you, people online don't care about your opinions. Most of the time, the people who are actually in your lives or your friends, okay, exception, maybe people care online about the things you think, if it's like online friends or something, but I mean like the vast majority of the internet community, the comment section of some video, probably won't care what you think, and someone else will say what you want to say anyways. Most of the time, you will not have a real form of discussion with these people, and it will just add more chaos, and it will just add more, I don't know, like it's not a real discussion in my opinion. People online don't have a real discussion. And you know what? Yes, that is my opinion. And ironically, I've also added my opinion to this endless pile of internet opinions. Also, my little amount right here is kind of crooked, which is very, very sad. Anyway.